Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us on the 6th installment of Talking VoIP with Datagate, where we go on a learning journey of subjects related to VoIP and UCaaS from the perspective of MSPs and wholesale telecom providers. This is a very special episode. It's an international episode actually, because we have guests from Lightwire Business in Australia and New Zealand and Advantage IVR in Oregon, USA. So I'd like to introduce our guests today. We have Brendan Ritchie, who's the CRO of Lightwire Business. And we have Nick Phillips, who's the head of business at Lightwire Business. And we have Donna Renee, who's the CEO of Advantage IVR. So I'd like to welcome you all here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
So for today's topic, we'll be discussing how MSPs can differentiate their voice offering and stand out from the competition in this, what is becoming a commoditized market. We'll start by talking with Brendan and Nick about if you should even be selling voice in the first place as an MSP. Then we'll cover some key points to consider when crafting your voice offering. And finally, we'll talk with Donna about something that MSPs often overlook, but can be a great way to further enhance the voice services and the value offering that you have. So if you have any questions for our guests today, please type them into the appropriate area at the side of your screen, and we'll address these at the end of the presentation. So firstly, with our guest from Lightwire Business, Brendan, why should MSPs be selling voice?
Right. Well, there's obviously a revenue element to it, but what we predominantly hear from our partners is that it's more about ring fencing their customer base. There's a lot of telecommunications companies who are now venturing into the MSP, environment. And what that means is that if you leave a section of a customer's requirements open to the market to fulfill, to meet that requirement, you're really putting all of your business at risk. And what we're finding is that if people can actually own the environment end to end, then that has a strong impact in limiting churn. So that's kind of number one. That's what we hear the most. But the revenue element can't be overlooked. I mean, it's a recurring revenue base which drives valuation in the event of an exit. It also enables greater access to finance. If you've got people in term and you're driving that revenue base, then that stacks up well for that as well. But ultimately, as telcos are looking to counter the commoditization of their own sort of core product set, voice is a key way that they can get into a customer. They can then start pitching MSP services. So yeah, for me, the most compelling reason is that of reducing churn.
So Nick, how can MSPs differentiate their voice offering right from the beginning of every sale?
Yeah, at the start of every interaction with your customer, you've got to put the customer at the center. You've got to work out what their requirements are. So it's about taking the mystery out of that whole pre-sales process, going right into the discovery of what that customer's needs and requirements are, and then look for proven success stories that you've had with other customers that you can tie into those problem pain points. How does that align with your solution stack? And really kind of play off the whole horror stories that people will have heard. From every technology project, there's always something you can lean on there. Relate that back to your product offering, how you've overcome that, and then back it up with documentation, free trials, fast and accurate responses, and really give that customer that supreme customer focused experience right off the bat. And that's going to just really, I think, put you in a strong step to go forward with that customer and show that you've got the chops to deliver that voice product for them.
Yeah, I think I just to Nick's point there, that free trial element, I think that's critical. If you as an MSP have a way of utilizing your environment to provide that no obligation free trial, the benefit there is also that if you end up at the end of that free trial with essentially a ready to go production environment that can easily be leveraged with just some porting of numbers, that's fantastic. But it really takes the whole what's the user experience question out of the piece. It takes the voice quality question out of the piece. So yeah, for me, that free trial element is key.
And that also reduces some project cost as well. You're not having to pay for a proof of concept or absorb that cost for your business yourself as the MSP. You can really just kind of build it all into the whole sales cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what advice would you give to MSPs about crafting their voice offering?
I'd say, look, flexibility to start with is important. So there's going to be customers that are going to be hands-on. There's going to be customers that are going to be hands-off. There's going to be MSPs that are hands-on and those that want to be hands-off as well. So kind of 4 markets to cater for there. Flexibility adds value and gives you room to enhance scope for that customer going forward. You don't want to limit what products you're selling the customer based on what they fit in your mind for them. So target your needs and requirements for a voice product that's going to align with their business. So that might be, does your customer have reporting requirements, integration with particular applications? Do they need mobility, particular calling plans, etc.? You want to tie those together into your offering so that you can then have that conversation in the pre-sales to put forward a solution for the business. Stepping away from that a bit more is agile delivery. You want to be able to put forward a solution that meets your customer's needs today, but it's going to allow you to transition that customer over time to another particular product, maybe something a bit more advanced, a bit more of a unified communication solution as opposed to a bit more basic phone system, and allow you to grow with them, but whilst keeping them within your ecosystem, keeping that customer sticky and making sure that they're not shopping around to meet a niche need for them.
Indeed. And are you seeing any major shifts in how voice services are being offered and how MSPs can take advantage of this?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. I think one of the key things is that the value is no longer in the voice minutes or the way you package the calling component of these platforms. Changes in user behavior has seen really a drop off in the amount of PSTN use. So it doesn't really matter how exactly you package that up. It's tougher to differentiate yourself on that front. So really the way to ensure that you're not so stuck in that price war commoditized play is to make sure that the feature set, the functionality of the platform you're actually using, or platforms ideally, kind of to the next point, is critical. So that's one of the key changes. It's really focusing on that function set. But just going back to the voice play as well, what we're seeing is that there is a lot of per user focus out there. Most of the pricing you'll come across is a per user per month type focus, whereas that doesn't scale particularly well. In our case, and probably in a limited number of other cases, we're seeing more of a focus on channel billing per channel or per line, depending on which terminology you like. But that scales a lot better. If you take the classic 4-to-1 ratio, 4 users to 1 channel for most businesses, that works out roughly right. It can vary, of course, but like just as a rule of thumb, when you start getting to 10 or more users, but particularly at enterprise and large corporate, it just scales so much better than the per user model. So I think it's about the functionality and it's about the way you structure the offering to make sense for the business demo that you're targeting.
Right. So, and how do voice services fit into the context of the modern workplace as we see it now? And how can MSPs position themselves in the best way possible for this?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So again, touching on what Brendan said right at the start, is that blurred line between MSPs and telcos is merging, but so is that line between voice services and professional services. So the objective for the customer is you want to use technology to drive productivity for them. And then you want to ensure that you are not selling voice services, you're selling an outcome for that customer. Ultimately, that's going to lead to a better relationship, stickier customers, and overall probably more success stories that you can go and talk about and grow your business. But if we look slightly more focused on one particular voice product and say that's Teams and aligning with a modern workplace environment, you're going to find that in the general market there's a lot of entrance for telcos wanting to, say, control the Microsoft Teams space or get into the admin center. So you're going to want to look to partner with a particular telco that can support you in driving that modern workplace for your customer and being kind of on the side to support that, as opposed to competing with you in your own space. And that's what we're really seeing there, is that professional services needs the telco arm in there, but the telco arm is sometimes a little heavy-handed. But working together, you get the outcome for your customer, and that's what everyone wants at the end of the day.
Right. And so how can MSPs use data-driven insights to differentiate themselves from the competition further?
Yeah, okay, so I think MSPs need to be looking to partner with a company that can help guide them. This isn't necessarily going to be their bread and butter, right? So they're going to need to be taken through the various elements, both in terms of pre-sales and post-sales. And I think often going in, a lot of data isn't immediately clear. You may not understand what the previous supplier was offering. You may not understand how whatever was supplied was utilized, whether it represented good value for money, was an accurate representation of the client's requirements or not. So as an MSP, really, you're looking to partner with a telco or a provider that can, in the post-sales environment, ensure that you're able to go back to your customers with data-driven insights to drive productivity and efficiency, and make sure that the, I guess what was the intended outcomes have been met. So some examples of that, some actual real-world examples would be per channel or again line, depending on your terminology, utilization rates. So in our case, we alert at 80%, actually, sorry, 75%. Need to know my products, and 100% of utilization. So what that means is that before you actually hit any hard limits as a business, which would actually stop people being able to call you, or you calling out, which has a real monetary impact, you're going to be alerted and able to make those decisions. The second part of that is that those insights are only as good as the flexibility offered by your partner. So if you're given real-time insights as to capacity really not being where it needs to be, which is quite common when a business changes its go-to-market approach, or maybe didn't realize how much they were underscoped or potentially overscoped with the previous supplier. If you get those insights that trigger an action, or should trigger an action, your provider has to be flexible and agile enough to actually make those required changes in a very short period of time. So if they can't act on that quickly, the value of those insights are diminished. But over and above that, call minute reporting and alerting. If you are with a provider who has got a particular plan that perhaps limits minutes to mobile calling, getting alerts on when your included minutes are near exhaustion and maybe your rate's going to go up, understanding your internet service jitter and latency and uptime stats, and getting proactive reporting, having essentially every service as a managed service. That's critical because voice only works as well as the connection it's going over. So look, I could go through a lot of examples, but the key thing is data-driven insights that are easy to understand, proactively reported, and backed by a flexible and agile service that makes the most out of those insights.
Yes, excellent. Now for a subject close to my own heart and that of Datagate, what role does billing play in helping MSPs differentiate their voice offering?
I'll touch on this quickly, but I know Nick has lived this life. Nick joined us having come from a systems background. So, but I think hand on heart, I can say that in the 15 or so years I've been working in telco, the biggest, I guess, the greatest reluctance to take up voice as a product offering has been around the variable billing component. And there hasn't been a lot of easy opportunities, and particularly when someone doesn't want to run with an exclusive vendor model, they want to make the most of maybe vendor A, vendor B, vendor C. They've all got pretty compelling service attributes. Datagate makes that super simple. So you guys are, I think, a key part of the strategy behind taking up voice, because billing is going to suck up hours, admin hours. It is going to potentially lead to diminished revenue because it's so easy to make a mistake. I've even seen MSPs choose to just pass calling on at cost because they don't deem the effort to be worthwhile, and that way at least they know there's no mistakes. So Datagate is huge. And yeah, Nick, I'm sure you can probably touch on that a little bit more, but would reflect those thoughts.
Absolutely, they just line up bang on, and day in, day out, I'm talking to partners that are still scared to approach the voice space. They've been burnt in the past, and these kind of tools just weren't around when they've tried years ago. But being able to offer Datagate on our platform is really starting to make us have those conversations again, and let people really look at ways of making their customers stickier, and use data-driven insights, automated billing, smart technology to grow their businesses.
Excellent. Well, Brendan and Nick, thank you very much. We appreciate the insights you've given here. And obviously you'll be around for the questions that we'll be answering later on. So it's Brendan and Nick from Lightwire Business. Thank you. I now have a question for Donna Renee of Advantage IVR. So Donna, what is something that MSPs commonly overlook when it comes to setting up voice offering in their phone systems?
The biggest thing is MSPs forget that the phone is a valid customer contact point. What is a customer contact point? It's anywhere that you come in contact with your client and you're showing them your brand. You know, TV, radio, billboards, newspaper, vehicle wraps, wherever that outward facing message is making an impact on the people you're trying to reach. Well, what is all of our advertising that we're paying billions of dollars to do? What is it designed to do? Call or click. And since we're in the voice space, phones aren't going away. We want them to call us, right? Well, it's like the marathon runner that runs the whole race and then gets 10 feet before the finish line and dies. Well, you can't do that. You've got to finish it through. Carry that branding that you spent those dollars to get them to call you, carry it through and hit them again with it on the phone. And that's where people are forgetting it. There's two aspects here. The MSP themselves, when people call into your business and they hear the voice on the auto attendant, what branding message is that sending about your own company? And then if you're selling voice already or thinking about adding it, your client base. What is the voice on that auto attendant communicating to their clients? If you come in and you're providing a turnkey ready solution, boom, and they've got that awesome image right out of the gate, you're the hero and you're more sticky. So, I mean, it's perfect. What I have found, I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and I know I don't look that old. Anyway, but I've been doing it for a long time. And what I found is that it's the phone tech on cutover day that's doing it, because people forget about it. They don't think about it. It's not important. And certainly nobody wants to hear their own voice on the phone. They're like, oh, I don't want to do it. Well, yeah. Oh, you do it. I have so many clients that are IT guys now doing voice. And they're like, Donna, I'm so thankful for you because my voice is all over this city. You call this client, and it's me. And I can't wait to get my voice off and, you know, a professional voice on. So anyway, and I think we've got some samples that I want you to listen to. The first one is a doctor's office. It's an OBGYN clinic. One of my clients sent me an email, Donna, call this number. Listen, it's the worst auto attendant greeting I've ever heard. This is your next new client. So Uzma, can you play that Dr. DIY, please?
Thank you for calling OBGYN, the office of Dr. Our office is located at 3400 Building C, Suite 475, Georgia, which is located at the north side in Building C. Our fax number is 7872. If this is an emergency, please hang up and call 911.
Thank you for calling OBGYN. If you're in labor or are from a doctor's office, press 0. For all other medical emergencies, hang up and dial 911. For all other callers, let's get you to the right person. To schedule an appointment, press 1. To refill a prescription, press 2. To speak to a nurse, press 3.
Thank you for call. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. Otherwise, please choose from the following options. For sales, press 1. For support, press 2. For accounting, press 3. To check the status of a port request, press 4. For the company directory, press 5. To hear this message again, press the star key.
Hi, thank you for calling. Let's get started. Know the extension you need? Dial it now. For support, press 1. Sales, 2. Accounting, 3. For a company directory, press 4. To repeat these options, press the star key.
Okay, so I don't think we really need to talk too much about those. We heard the DIY doctor greeting and then what a professional was able to do with it. Just a couple of key points about that. On the doctor greeting, it was 1 minute and 38 seconds. That's way too long for an auto attendant greeting. Nobody wants to listen. At 58 seconds in, he says, if you're pregnant and in labor, press 0. I'm sorry, if you're a pregnant woman, you better hear that 0 out option right up front. And the most obvious one is it's an OBGYN clinic. A male voice? No. A professional company would have counseled about the right way to do that and would have made some scripting suggestions. Best practices, that's what they bring to the table. And the other one that we listened to was the telecom greeting. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. The owner of the company did it himself, and then he hired a professional to do it. You could just feel the difference. So anyway, there you go. It makes a difference.
Excellent. So Donna, can a professionally recorded greetings help MSPs sell voice and stand out from their competition?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I want to talk about experience. I'm going to give an example that is off base, but it'll illustrate the point well. I used to work for a gym, a small gym called Dynamic Bodies, a boutique gym. They charge 3 times more than the big box store type gyms. All the same equipment, classes, trainers, 3 times more because of the experience they offered. We knew everybody by name. When they walked in the door, we knew if they preferred chilled water or room temperature water. We knew what type of towel they wanted, or if a towel. When the class was over, I was standing at the door with a crystal platter of freshly cut apples, cut very nicely, like a gourmet style of slice. But it took 2 minutes to cut up an apple and place it beautifully on a crystal plate, and it made them feel amazing. Very little effort for huge outcome, 3 times more. So that's what we're talking about with adding professional voiceover. It doesn't take any effort at all, and you can really expand on the value that you're bringing to the table. Another example, I'm the queen of weird examples, but I'm simple, so I got to have simple, right? Think about a burger and fries. Yeah. They're so synonymous that they're one, a burger and fries. If you're trying to watch your weight because you're working at Dynamic Bodies and you don't want the fries, like, oh, hold the fries, can I have a side salad instead? You have to go to that length to make sure that you don't get those fries, right? I think that what MSPs need to do to help sell this is marry those two. Have voice and professionally recorded auto-attendant greetings be so married that they are one, and that they have to ask for them not to be included. Does that make sense? Absolutely. And I just think it's huge. I've got some stories that I want to illustrate this example. The first one is Bob Bascom from Charleston Telecom. I think he's a client of yours too, Mark, with Datagate.
Yeah.
He came to me and he hired me to voice the auto-attendant greetings of a new client of his. I did it, and that was that. About a month goes by. He calls me up, Donna, I got to thank you. You've got me a new client. Really? Do tell. He said, remember the greeting you did for me? Yeah, I do. Well, that customer had been in business for over 20 years. So they had an established clientele, right? Well, one of their established longtime customers called in after cutover day, heard the professional voice on the auto attendant. They're like, oh my gosh, these phones sound great. Who did your phones? Well, they put Bob in touch with this client, and Bob sold them a new phone system. But here's the rub. Get this. They already had VoIP phones. They could have done it themselves. The only difference was that their VoIP provider had the phone tech voice the greetings on cutover day, didn't hire a professional. They lost a client because they did it themselves. I mean, what better example could I have? The next one is Jim Lumpkin. He is he's retired now, but former CEO of a credit union. I got to work with him because he contacted me. He said, Donna, I called into my office today. I heard no fewer than 5 different voices as I made my way through the tree to get to the person I wanted. He goes, literally, I felt like the right hand did not know what the left hand was doing. As CEO, that reflects on me. That's caller experience. That's brand. So I fixed it for him. We made everything uniform voice. So the voice does matter. People think it doesn't matter. Somebody goes away on holiday. Oh, just get so-and-so to voice that greeting. And before you know it, you've got 5 different voices, and it sounds like a mess. The last one I think is so apropos for these MSPs today. Really want you to hear this. Brian Hall from Cloud NVS. MSPs started out doing IT, right? Then they add voice. One of their IT clients calls in for tech support. They hear the auto attendant greeting. They're like, Brian, oh my gosh, that just sounds great. That opened the door for a conversation. Brian was able to sell them voice just because of the voice on the auto attendant. So it makes it really easy, almost too easy to sell voice with this.
Yeah. So on that point, Donna, so how much extra work does it add for an MSP? They're always busy people. How much extra work is there in setting up the IVR voices?
Almost none. If you partner right. If you choose the wrong voiceover partner, if you're Googling, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but if you just Google voiceover talent, you'll get 10 bazillion and 1 search results, right? So there's a lot of options. But if you partner with a company who knows what they're doing, that specializes in working with telcos, who understand MSPs, who understand voice, who have script templates, who knows what's going on, almost no work. All they have to do is just send an email or a quick phone call. Hey, we've just signed up, blah, blah, blah. And you put all the brunt of the work on their plate because they know what they're doing. They're a value peer-to-peer partner with you. You guys are super smart, but a professional voice company will understand what to do with all this and then make you sound great. So it's super, super easy. It lets the MSP focus on their core competency and look like the hero, having no investment of time other than a phone call or an email.
Yes. And Donna, can an MSP make money out of this? Or is it the impression that they're making? Does it translate to money for the MSP?
It depends on mindset. And it just depends on how much time you want to spend thinking about it. Both. It's a great value add because you can buy low and just give it away, and it pays for itself just in that stickiness, right? Or you can mark it up. Like, you'll have to vet it out in your area to see what's local, you know. But for here, you can buy as low as 30 and sell for as much as 75 to 100. That's a nice margin. And when MSPs are, you know, excited about adding $2 a month here or $5 a month here, that kind of margin goes a long way. I mean, it can really be a nice revenue center for you. I call it a hybrid recurring revenue model because it's not genuine, but it is a hybrid. Because what does every MSP do? They have goals. They have quota, they have sales goals, whatever they want to call them. You're bringing on new clients every single month, 2, 3, 10, depending, whatever. If you automatically throw in between 3 to 5 professionally recorded auto attendant greetings in every new agreement you sign, that is a hybrid of a recurring revenue model. You're always going to be bringing it in. So
right.
Super easy.
Interesting. Very good. And so locating voice talent, are there many people in this business, and how can you find them?
Yeah, like I said before, it's super easy to find people. Just go Google it, type in voiceover talent, voiceover production, and you're going to get a bazillion choices. Just vet it out carefully. Make sure you're working with a professional company. If you spend a little bit of time, you will find companies that focus just on working with telcos. And so they know the MSP world, they know telecom, and they can make it happen.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Donna, for joining us today and the valuable insights you've given us. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. So we've had Donna Renee from Advantage IVR, and we've got Brendan and Nick from Lightwire Business. We now have looked through some of the questions that we've received. So moving into questions. Okay, firstly, a question for Lightwire Business. What differentiates Lightwire in the telco space? What are your unique service attributes?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so it's a pretty easy one for us to answer. So the way we differentiate is mainly through customer-led innovation. We also do, fast, accurate responses. We put those really at the core of our every interaction with the customer, and we're outcomes focused. And we tie that all together through our customer platform, our partner platform called Loom, which all our partners and customers can log into directly to really experience the full transparency of our service offering. And looking at anything from, metrics, uptime, utilization, just kind of all the things that usually are hidden from the end customer or from the partner in our space, and that's what really makes us stand out. As well as every person you deal with at Lightwire, you'll see our core values just oozing out of them at every interaction, of which obviously are care, can do, growth, and expertise. And you'll find that on every interaction with Lightwire.
Right, excellent. And how does Lightwire engage with MSPs on a partner level? And what are the division of responsibilities?
Yeah, so Lightwire engages with MSPs in two different ways. What we call either the wholesale or the rebate models. The wholesale model is more of a white labeled option, and it's probably our largest of the two ways of engaging with partners. But common to both of them is the pre-sales engagement, working with them to break down competitive phone bills, do analysis for their customers, work on those requirements for delivering the product or the project. We take take our partnerships quite seriously. We then bring those together through what's called our advisory board concept. So across a segment of wholesalers, a segment of channel partners, and a segment of direct retail customers, high volume and low volume, we get them together on a one-to-one basis every quarter and work out, what are your priorities? What do you need from us? How are we delivering things? How are services in general? You can have some really frank conversations and gain some really good insights into what that wholesale, what that MSP is looking to do in the coming months. Where's their business going? What do we need to do to support them, or how we can work better on sales engagements together? So super unique approach, and I find it just works so well for us.
Right, thank you. And whereabouts does Lightwire sit on the issue of telcos entering the MSP market? What's your view and approach to that?
Yeah, Brenda touched on that a little bit during the presentation there, but look, it's trending upwards that telcos are moving into that classical MSP space, and that they're clearly seeing that there is a segment of the market to be taken there. There's lots of offering that Office 365 licensing is the kind of the gateway to get in there. They got in there with the voice or their internet services, and now they're looking to do everything. Lightwire has a very strong stance that that's not us. We want to be there to enable our partners and work with them to shore up those defense lines and make sure that we work with them on getting outcomes and making their customers sticky, and to deliver those services to the partners for their customers rather than competing against them in their own space.
Right. And in terms of your product offering, what voice products does Lightwire offer, and are you only in Australia?
So I'll start with Lightwire's across Australia and New Zealand at this stage. We've also just launched our Teams Direct Routing offering into the United States for Australian and New Zealand businesses. So it's a new sort of exciting area we're starting to play in. But across the general product sets, across Australia and New Zealand, we do SIP trunking. That is certified as well for use with 3CX. 3CX is our managed and hosted unified communications solution. It's our kind of go-to Big Daddy voice product that we do for our customers and partners. And then we also have a Microsoft Teams Direct Routing offering there as well, where we kind of manage the SBCs. We do all the behind-the-scenes SIP trunkings and things like that. But we're enabling across that product the partner to do the delivery side, the Office 365 side, and we stay completely out of that. As I mentioned before, we want to be the one enabling them to do that business and staying out of their space, and we find that Office 365 space is their responsibility and ownership, but we're there to partner with them to deliver that product.
So Brendan, you said that the revenue aspect can't be overlooked. So tell us a bit more about the revenue aspect. What kind of money can MSPs make out of voice, and what are the factors that can influence that?
Right. So the factors that can impact the amount of money made really depends on the market segment you're going after, and it depends on the way you productize your offering. There's obviously a range of ways to cut it. There's a range of platforms as well, each carrying different opportunities to make money. So look, it's a pretty broad question. If you have an in-house product, for example, if you're hosting something yourself and just looking for SIP trunks to throw on the end of it, how you purchase those SIP trunks, how you productize them, e.g. if you're buying them by the minute, you've got a carrier grade SIP trunk, you're paying by the minutes, but you bundle it into an unlimited option. Really, how much you do or don't make from that is going to be up to how you productize it. If you're simply taking something and putting some predefined margin on it and selling it, the opportunity to make revenue will depend on the market's appetite for certain price points and what your value proposition is over and above that. So I think when we talk about how much revenue you can make, I think that depends on the value proposition that's offered. So I know for us, for Lightwire, our value comes I guess we differentiate ourselves and add value in a number of ways, but the key ones are pre-sales and post-sales support and implementation, having very smart people that partner with our MSPs to make sure that the right services are scoped, they're well understood, the right questions are asked, the templated provisioning process is in play, and that all parties understand how the service needs to be implemented and how people need to be trained to make the most of it. The other part is by involving our customers in the development process. We're a very dev heavy business, so we're very focused on adding features and functionality that are led by inputs from our customers. So I think adding value in those sorts of ways enables you to be a bit more creative with your pricing structures to justify a greater pricing premium, and then that helps make the whole voice play more worthwhile from a revenue point of view.
Right, excellent, thank you. And so Microsoft Teams is obviously now being used as a soft phone on VoIP systems. How do you see that influencing the market, and what's your position with Microsoft Teams? What's your position to it?
I'll take that one. Yeah, there's been a huge uptake of that, particularly over the last 18 months. There's a lot of MSPs out there that are looking to, enhance their modern workplace go-to-market strategy, and obviously Teams and moving the phone system falls into that category. Where it's going in the future, continuous developing product. There's new functionality and features dropping into that just about every other month there. But where Lightwire sees the demarcation for that is we like to support our partners, our managed service provider partners, in delivering the product. So we leave the end configuration and anything to do inside that Microsoft Office 365 tenancy to the partner, and we'll provide them with the scripts, the know-how, the training to go and deliver that as a service, and then make it a repeatable, scalable business model for them. But from the team space, we like to stay out of the tenancy for security reasons, not push into their realm and be seen as a bit of a threat, which is what the trend is in telco, is to move into those new markets, and that Office 365 space is certainly an attractive one for a lot of telcos out there.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. And what type of support do you provide MSPs looking to offer telecom services, and what's the division of responsibilities there?
That certainly comes down to the product set as well. So, division of responsibilities for teams. Implementation is definitely the partner side of things. For us, it's the porting of the numbers, ensuring the chunks are set up correctly, working on any kind of testing with the partners to deliver that. When it comes to some other products that we have in the market, like 3CX, for example, for us, it's about working with them on the design, the implementation, how that all hangs together, go to productization strategies with our partner, how the implementation day will need to work, what they actually need to require, dealing with them on the day-to-day support of it as more of a managed services in this case from us, and they're kind of fronting it. But we sit behind the scenes doing all the maintenance, all the kind of ongoing support, all that tier 2 support for the product, as well as all the traditional voice stuff in the back end, so porting of numbers, etc.
Right, excellent. You said earlier on that you support the customer hands-on or hands-off model, as well as partner hands-on and hands-off. What does that actually mean in terms of of a customer hands-on? What sort of flexibility do you give the end customer in terms of configuring the phone system?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, totally product driven. But where I mean by hands-on and hands-off is hands-on. Some customers like to be able to set up new users on the phone system. They like to be able to change call queues, the hours that are associated with those, different voice messages at different times of year, all that kind of, I guess, admin functionality. That's what I'm meaning by hands-on. And some customers, they love to have a person on site in-house that can do that for them. And then there's others, they just want to be hands-off. They want their provider to deal with that, or they want their IT provider to deal with that. So we like to cater for kind of all those scenarios. And the same goes for the partners as well. So there's those partners out there that want a wholesale voice solution, but they kind of really just want to do the basic tier 1 setup for the user. They want to create it as part of their onboarding process as their customer grows with them, but they don't want to deal with the kind of the nitty gritty or more complex troubleshooting. And that's when we would get more hands-on for them, or because we like to offer our services as a managed service, particularly when it's around 3CX and things like that, we can do that all on their behalf as well, and they can just kind of pass the ticket across to us. But again, very product driven. SIP, it's very onto the end customer or the partner to really drive that, and we sit in the back end, very hands off in that regard.
Yeah, excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I think just on that, I was just going to say, I think because we have such a range of partner sizes, there's a lot of MSPs out there that are probably 10 or less staff, but we've got some that have many thousands of staff, in the case of at least a couple I can think of. So we've got a real difference of in-house resourcing, which means that our approach needs to be different across the board.
And so I'll just play on that a little bit more, because I said that the likes of Datagate has allowed us to reapproach conversations with partners and potential partners that have tried voice in the past, and it got a little bit hard for them with the rebilling and side of things like that. And we've got those discussions back on the table now. Some of those partners that are coming back to it, it's a great selling point is to be able to support them in going through that cycle again, to trying out the new products and go to market, so we can be more hands-on with those people and those companies, and they really enjoy that kind of barrier around it, as it's they've solved their two biggest challenges is the support and growth, and
yes,
the billing element to it.
Right, excellent. And in terms of the MSPs that you're working with, what's the scale of the end customer that they're supplying voice systems to? How big do they get, and how small do they go as well?
Yeah, I think our largest Teams direct routing one spans probably a couple of thousand users.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a pretty big one. And then, but it varies. We've got the one-man bands with a a enterprise phone system for 3 other people, and then it goes the whole way through the scale. So we're working with partners of all scales across Australia and New Zealand, and deliver a solution and a partnership that works at different tiers across those businesses.
Excellent. Well, Brendan and Nick from Lightwire Business, thank you for those answers. I now have some questions for Donna of Advantage IVR. So Donna, what's the typical process of getting a professionally recorded greeting for a client, and how long does it normally take?
Usually it depends on the approval process. Like if everything goes as planned, we usually have things within 24 hours and sometimes same day. Depending on the workflow. What you would do is just simply find who you're going to work with and send them the scripts that you need to be recorded. Now, if you have chosen to work with a company that specializes in working with telcos, then you can ask them for script templates, and that can kind of help you try to find some best practices and maybe some different ways to word some things and just give you new ideas. But once the scripts are dialed in, then you just send them off, they get recorded, and files are sent back, and boom, you are done.
Yes, excellent. And so Donna, you must come across clients from different geographies, different types of businesses, different personalities of the companies. What do you do, to I guess assimilate these factors in a client?
Absolutely. What I did before I was doing this full time was I was in corporate America sales. So I've spent 20 plus years sales and marketing. That background coming into doing voiceover really has served me well. So I can work with whoever my client is, understand their target demographic, understand what their marketing is doing, and just kind of put a whole package together in terms of what the voice is going to sound like, representing their brand. I have right now 17 other voice talent that work with me, and so we just kind of work to choose the best voice to represent their brand.
Excellent. And so you work internationally? You work
yes.
Anywhere, I guess? Excellent.
We work anywhere. I have clients in Germany, Canada, working and talking to some people in the UK, Scotland. So we're making our way. Oh, New Zealand and Australia. So we are making our way around.
Yes, excellent, including on the Datagate phone system as well, I must say.
Yes.
So that's great. So how would an MSP engage with Advantage IVR?
One of two ways. If they want to be a channel partner, then what they do is they just refer us, the client. We maintain the client. They're our client. We have the communication. We retain the billing and invoicing and such, and then we send them 10% of the retail that we bill. The other way would be as a white label or wholesale. The pricing is the same, but it depends on their goal, what they want to do. A lot want to buy at the wholesale rate and then just give it away as a value add to kind of just another reason to get in touch with them, make their connection more sticky, reasons of that nature. They're just more valuable that way. Other clients that I have see the revenue potential, and so they want to white label the services. They maintain the client, the interaction, the communication, the invoice, the billing. We're just behind the scenes providing the product. We also supply them with script templates. We will also help them with massaging the scripts, giving them some ideas of best practices, maybe different ways to say things, and they come out looking like a hero and making some money at the same time.
What is the typical process of getting a professionally recorded greeting produced for a client?
Oh, it's just super simple. First off, know basically what you want. I know for the voiceover companies that specialize in working with MSPs and telcos, they'll have script templates and they kind of know what is needed. And you can just give them what I call the bones of the script and the call flow and such, and then they can design it. If you're working with someone who doesn't have all of that, just give them the scripting that you want. They'll record the files and then they send them back. I mean, it's really pretty easy.
Right, excellent. Now, with Advantage IVR, obviously you get customers in different geographies, customers from different industries,
Yes.
Different personalities. What's your approach to that with the voicing? What can you offer?
Well, we have right now 17 different talents that people can choose from. And so if they want to go to our website and take a listen, hear samples of all the voices, they can, are free to do that. They can ask me my opinion. I've been in sales and marketing for 25 plus years. So I kind of have a good idea. If they tell me their target demographic, usually I kind of can figure it out. But if we talk demographics and such, then I can, kind of guide them of who might really represent them well. And I have the other talents because I know that I'm not the right fit for everybody.
Right, excellent. And do you have, when you start working with an MSP, do you have contracts or financial arrangements with them for sort of ongoing services and ongoing business?
Yes and no. We can do business on a one-off basis. And of course, you're going to pay a little bit more for it. I have two ways that I engage with MSPs. One is as a channel partner, and the other is as white label. And you can look at the white labeling as either the opportunity to resell or more as a wholesale where you're just going to do it as a value add. If we're engaging as a channel partner, we retain the client. We work with the client directly, we invoice the client, we collect the monies, and then we send the referring MSP a check for 10% of the retail that we bill them. And then if they're white labeling or wholesaling, then I have 3 different levels of subscriptions that they can choose from depending on how many greetings per month they want to commit to. And I do let them roll over each month for a year so they don't have to worry if they're not going to use them up all in one month.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Donna from Advantage IVR. I think we've got through all our questions now, and so again, I'd like to thank our panelists. We've had Brendan and Nick from Lightwire Business and Donna from Advantage IVR. I'd like to thank all of our audience for attending today. Thank you, and wishing you all the best. May the VoIP be with you. Until next time.
Thank you, Mark.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.